The United States has threatened the African continent over its relationship with a certain country. Let's get into it. U.S. threatening Africa over its ties with Russia. This is from Pretoria, South Africa. Washington is concerned by a Russian cargo ship's visit to a naval base in South Africa, an official has told the Wall Street Journal. Relations between Washington and Pretoria have become strained after a Russian cargo ship visited South Africa's largest naval base last month, the Wall Street Journal reported on Monday. The country's defense minister said the U.S. has been pressuring African nations over any links with Moscow, according to the outlet. Absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. You're threatening African nations over any links with and any ties with any country, including Moscow/Russia. This is a colonial terrorist mindset that they have. They want to control Africa and its foreign policy and its domestic policy as well, with the LGBTQ nonsense. Washington is quote, concerned by the support the South African armed forces provided to the Lady R, a senior U.S. official told the Wall Street Journal, referring to a Russian vessel that was sanctioned in May over its alleged involvement in arms shipments in Moscow. In early December, the ship was allowed to enter Simon's Town Navy base with its transponders turned off and freely move cargo there, the report claimed. There is no publicly available information on the source of the containers that were loaded onto the Lady R, the official said. The outlet cited comments made by South African Defense Minister Thandi Modise last month regarding the visit of Lady R. She declined to reveal what cargo the ship was carrying, only saying that whatever contents this vessel was getting were ordered long before COVID, which emerged in late 2019. It doesn't matter. It's nobody's business what the contents of the cargo ship is, including the United States. It's not their business. The U.S. needs to butt out of African affairs. Washington threatens Africa, not just South Africa, of having anything that is even smelling of Russia, Modise said, as quoted by the Wall Street Journal. The article noted that under the U.S. law, Washington can place sanctions on any entity that provides services to a blacklisted ship. This is the U.S.'s weapon. It places sanctions and embargoes on any country that refuses to do what it wants. It's like a bully. I talked about this in another video in the past. The U.S. is a bully. And these countries, unfortunately, can't step together and say, no, we're not going to have it, or else we're going to cut trade from you entirely. Darren Olivier /Olivier, who heads African Defense Review consulting company, told the outlet it was plausible that the Lady R was bringing an old order of Russian ammunition to South Africa. Moscow and Pretoria agreed to a shipment of 4.5 million rounds of Russian ammunition worth around $585,000 back in 2020, he said. As for what was loaded on the ship, Olivier pointed out that South Africa's defense industry does not generally produce armaments and complete systems that are used by the Russian military. However, he said, Moscow could be interested in dual-use items, including guidance systems and optics for aerial drones. According to the senior U.S. official who spoke to the Wall Street Journal, the U.S. Embassy warned Pretoria in November that a sanctioned vessel was about to arrive in the country. How the fuck does the U.S. know this? They shouldn't be able to know this. It's not their business. But the South African authorities did not respond. Good. I'm glad they didn't respond. It's not their business, not the United States' business, what transpires or what relations or what negotiations happen between countries. The U.S. likes to invoke itself into other people's business. That's the problem, and Americans have no problem with this. They see no problem with this until and unless other countries do the same with the U.S. Then they have a problem with it. The events surrounding Lady R demonstrate the difficulty of implementing sanctions on Russia for the U.S. and its allies, the article noted. This is the U.S. trying to be the world police. U.S. trying to be the world police. And if you tell Americans the U.S. is not a world police, they'll say, well, other countries need our help. Absolute bullies. Garbage. There have been at least 5 military coups in Africa in the last year, 2022, and nearly all of them were trained by the U.S. military. The people who carried out the coups, the military coups in Africa, nearly all of them were trained by the U.S. military. Who are you to tell Africa, an entire continent, or even one country of the continent, who they can do business with? If they want to do business with Russia and not support the Ukraine, which was another issue, the U.S. wanted Africa to support Ukraine. It wasn't just this trade with Russia. It wanted Africa to outright and publicly support Ukraine. Who are you to tell Africa or any other country or continent who it can and cannot support? They're bullies. America are bullies. They twist the arm and they vow punishments for people who don't do what they want them to do. This is the way a colonial terrorist entity acts. The United States wants to so badly control Africa and its resources. And I just saw an article the other day about how China said back off with its relationship, its business relationship with Africa. Because the U.S. wants to be the sole controller of the entire continent and its resources. Who are you to tell Africa who it can and cannot do business with? If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, leave a like, let me know what you guys think about all of this. If you're listening to this on the podcast, tweet me, let me know what you think about all of this. Take care.